Gage Permar here, crushbackpain.com. Today we're going to talk about abdominal exercises when you have a herniated disc. The most important thing to remember when you're doing abdominal exercises and you have a herniated disc is to limit repetitive lumbar flexion and to limit in-range lumbar flexion. And the reason is because lumbar flexion puts tensile force through the posterior part of the disc where it herniates. So I'm going to show you on this model, and this is a good model because it actually has a disc that we can get to herniate. So this is looking at the lumbar spine. Let's say it's L4-5 or L5-S1. This is a side view. This is a front view. This is looking at it from behind. These are the facet joints here. This is the disc here. These are the vertebrae. You've got the nerve roots that come out. So flexion would be this motion. So that's basically bending forward, sitting. That flexes your lumbar spine. And you can see when the lumbar spine flexes, it compresses the disc and puts tensile force through the posterior disc. And I'm going to actually make this disc herniate by flexing it, by flexing this motion segment. So you see that red part coming out of the disc, that's a herniation. So you can see when I flex the spine, that actually causes the disc to herniate. And then when I let the spine go back in the neutral position, you don't have that tensile force on the posterior disc, and that herniation is not as severe. So you can see how repetitive flexion, which would be this, see how that gets that disc to herniate. Repetitive flexion or in-range flexion, just holding in flexion, that will exacerbate a disc herniation. So the key is to work the abdominal muscles without exacerbating the disc herniation. So let's go over a couple exercises that do just that. The first one I'm going to show you is just a simple trunk curl up, and it activates the rectus abdominis, basically the anterior core, this area right here that people think about when they think of the abs. And the key with this exercise is, again, limiting lumbar flexion. So you're going to have one knee up, one down. That keeps the lumbar spine more neutral. And then you can actually take your hands and you can put them back here in the small of your back. And you want to be able to tuck those hands under there. There should be a space, because when the spine flexes, the back will push into the surface that you're on, the floor, table, whatever you're on. So use your hands, put them back there so you have some feedback, and then you just tuck your chin and you just curl up. It's that easy. You don't have to go up far at all, but you should just pull from your abdominals, come up until basically your shoulder blades clear, and then back down. And you'll be able to activate the rectus abdominis. You'll be able to work your core without flexing the lumbar spine. Now, if you come up higher, you'll feel your lower back round out. You'll feel it push into your hands. That tells you that you're getting too much lumbar flexion and you're going to exacerbate a herniated disc. So again, really simple. Chin's tucked. You just come up, back down. Up, back down. It's that easy. If you need to support your neck, you can. But again, you just got to be careful that your lower back's not rounding out, because that repetitive flexion is going to exacerbate the disc. So that's a good way to work the anterior core without repetitive or in-range lumbar flexion. You can do anywhere from 8 to 15 reps with each knee up, 2 or 3 sets with each knee up. And that's really going to work your anterior core. It's not going to exacerbate a herniated disc if you do it correctly. Now, another great way to work the anterior core is simple plank. And again, you want to keep that lumbar spine neutral, so you don't want to have it rounded out like that. In planks, a lot of times people can hold them for a long time. So to make the muscles work harder and not have to hold the plank as long, you can pull your elbows down towards your toes and get everything really tight, especially your anterior core and your glutes. So you just come up into a plank position, keep that lumbar spine neutral, and then pull your elbows down towards your toes and stay really tight in your front core and just hold that. And you can do that for anywhere from 15 to 30 seconds and then relax. But what you'll notice and the elbows won't actually move. You saw me do it. You just have that force pulling the elbows down towards the toes. They don't actually move. But that really helps activate the anterior core, keep the lumbar spine neutral, tighten up the glutes. You're going to get a really good contraction through those abdominals, and again, it won't exacerbate a herniated disc. Now, another great exercise to work on with the herniated disc to work your core is called the Pulloff Press, and that requires either a weight stack or a band, so I'm going to show you that. So the Pulloff Press works the obliques, anterior core, works the posterior core as well. So the way that you want to work this is either with a weight stack, or you can get a band that you can anchor to something like I have. And you just get out here, you get a good athletic stance, feet shoulder width, a little more, slight bend in the knees. And you want to have quite a bit of tension on the band, because as you push the band out, it's going to want to pull you back. And that's what causes the core muscles to kick in and stabilize the spine. But again, you want to make sure that lumbar spine is in a neutral position. That's generally slightly extended. It's not flexed. So you're up here. Before you start, you turn on an abdominal brace, you tighten up, and then you just push straight out, straight back. And you're keeping tight in the core the whole way. You can make this as hard as you want by using more weight if you're using a stack, or moving farther away from where the band's anchored, so you're getting more pullback. But as you push out, you don't let it pull you back towards wherever it's anchored. Now, you can also make it harder by pushing it out, holding it 10 seconds or so, and coming back. That's another good way to work the core if you have a herniated disc. So we've gone over 3 different exercises that you can safely work the abdominal muscles while you have a herniated disc. And if they're done correctly, they're not going to exacerbate the herniated disc. And it's really important to work the core when you do have a herniated disc, because you want those muscles to stabilize the spine so that disc can heal, so the irritation can decrease, and so you can get to the point where you're pain-free, fully functional. If this video helped you, leave me a thumbs up below. If you have any questions on these exercises, ask. I will answer them. And subscribe to the Crush Back Pain YouTube channel.